adventuring party last left off, after finding themselves once again across a frozen and almost solidified plain of snow, across a field barren of any tree, even those of the corrupted black twisted twigs that seem to have sprawled up behind them around the surroundings of the amber forest. We pick ourselves up just as our party has managed to get themselves within the confines of their first destination. The small monastery, or at least what seems to be a fortress monastery, of some sort of paladin or clerical order, managing to defend the outside and outskirts of the amber forest from any prying creature like that of orc or anything else willing to disturb the peace of its sanctuary. As we pick ourselves up and get back into character, we go ahead and start off just as the party has met with what seem to have been three individuals, completely female. The only male they had run into was the one managing the gate, who was on top of it, who hailed down to them to find out just who or what they were.
Mhm.
As we get into character, you guys are still there just as the kind of cold wind is blowing through the fortress, and bits of snow are currently falling around like thin wisps around. And the floor is yours. If anything, what would you guys like to do?
Um, I guess the one thing that at least we know now is that uh, the brother is here. So I think fighting them would be the top priority of our list, maybe.
Well, they did say that they were going to fetch him
Hmm.
and see if he was wanting to see us, so chances are we probably are just going to have to wait to see what kind of response, but they did say that that will take time.
Hmm.
So we're kind of in a little bit of a rough spot here, so I'm not quite sure what we should do.
Hmm. I guess the most we could do is put them into work, try to kill some time. Though I guess we should
Time is
probably
valuable.
very much so, but well, seems we might not have a choice unless you rather we scout around the rather snow-filled area. At least whatever residents inside the snow won't be bothering us, I hope, at least combatively, unless we piss them off somehow.
I prefer not to have my scales freeze off.
Not one fond of the snow, I see.
I'm I'm a bronze dragonborn. I'm not a white dragonborn.
It doesn't matter the color of the scales, it matters what your opinions on the snow. Doesn't need to divide to pigments, does it?
I'm not I'm not acclimatized to it.
I see. Well, maybe we could buy you a coat here.
Rowan kind of scoff at that. Devils around here. Might be corrupted, who knows? Don't try anything or buy anything. It's not. Don't trust it. Don't even eat the food.
Naren's
Only
gonna
what we
shoot him a
have.
glare.
Looks at what?
I'm pretty sure, if anything, we would be able to tell if something has magical properties to it if it was, like, cursed.
Mm, you're probably right.
I'm not an expert on magical items, but I kind of make them.
You kind of make them.
Yeah.
Well, you're not wrong. Granted that you keep boasting about your little project.
Your guide turns around towards you. Well, not as though your other friend is incorrect. I don't find myself too at home in this place. It's uncomfortable to me. Too human. So apologies if I'm quiet, but I don't have much of a, well, stake in this part of my land.
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I suppose while
So
this... Sorry.
should we just rest here for a bit, kind of just recover from standing out in a blizzard?
Well, not to mention what we had to deal with before coming here, so a bit of a quick rest wouldn't hurt anybody.
He is. Your Fey friend would nod. Rather agree, even though I might not be comfortable. Perhaps there might be some ease of access to some sort of at least retirement here, even if it is just for the night. Rowan's over there. How can you all think of sleeping when surrounded by devils?
Maybe it's
Trust-
because we're not racist like you.
Oof.
I am not racist. I, believe it or not, have the contemporary idea that devils are inherently bad, and so is their blood.
You know, it's like you took a crossbow, held it up to your kneecap, let the bolt loose, and then said, "Look, it didn't hurt."
Rowan, I just want to kind of point something out. That is like associating me and Nira once again to being actual dragons. We aren't actual dragons.
But you have draconic blood.
Not really.
Well, then your terms don't work.
Rowan, let me give you an example. Do you think wolves and dogs are the same?
Well, you feed one and scratch one, they end up the same, yes.
You misunderstand. Do you think they are one and the same?
One and the same. Well, considering, yes, I do.
And there's no helping you, is there?
There is no need to help me. You are trying to convince me that devils are good, and inherently I believe they're evil.
No, the issue is that tieflings aren't devils. They might share
But
similarities.
they have devilish blood.
So? Does that make them inherently evil to you?
Yes, it does, because they are inherently devilish. And he pulls out a small piece of bread and just starts gnawing on it so he can stay quiet and not have to deal with this conversation any longer.
I'm of half a mind to gag you and just freaking throw you in a corner. Or maybe
Just
hang you
keep
outside the fucking walls.
Keep giving him bread. He'll just be quiet that way.
I need a break. I'm gonna ask around if anyone here has freaking whetstones. And with that, he takes his leave and looks
You
for maybe the
take your leave.
quartermaster.
Just go ahead and make me a general investigation check as you make your way through this fort. It's not too big, but you don't exactly know your way around, so...
Oh. Oops. Accidentally rolled 2. That's a 3.
3.
4 minus 1.
You don't find a whetstone, and you don't find the quartermaster, but you do follow your nose and find the... You do find the what is essentially a cafeteria or so.
He's just gonna return back to the group, take a bit of distance, sit down, and just tend to his weaponry.
You pull out the small whetstone that you have and start running it over as you find somewhere to sit off to the side.
Mm,
Over the time, as you guys are kind of standing about in the cold, you do hear what sound like soft chimes that start slowly dinging around the fortress. And you actually start seeing as some of the doors start opening up over some of the dormitories and some of the churches as well, or at least the temples that are around. And you watch as almost the, not exactly the entirety, but the energy certainly does shift as people start coming out and they start filling the empty spaces in between the buildings. And you start seeing as biggest thing you pick up on, at least with this, is that you only see like 2 or 3 men here. Most of them here are women.
I am so glad that we don't have a standard bard in our group.
yeah, you're the stand-in.
I was saying
You're
I'm
the
glad that we don't
stand-in.
have a standard bard in our group.
No, he
Exactly.
said, and you're the stand-in.
Bruh, I am a dragonborn. Don't do this.
Even dragonborns can be bards. You can see for yourself. We have one in the party.
Well, moving on. As the crowd starts slowly shuffling about here and there, you actually start seeing as some of them start to come out and they give weird looks in your direction. Many of them actually start noticing you and kind of the occasional whisper comes through. None of them approach you. Most of them keep their distance from you, but you get weird looks. And eventually they go back to whatever they were doing. And soon enough, after about 5-10 minutes, the courtyard is clear once again.
Zom's gonna try and find at least a somewhat sheltered area that would be reasonable for him to access, and just kind of just rest and meditate, I guess.
If you wanted to, when the head woman came out, or at least when the head honcho came out and she spoke to you guys, she said you guys are welcome to the food in the mess hall.
I guess Wallace decided to before trying to make any alchemy stuff with potions. I guess he goes to the cafeteria to try to get something to eat. Granted, um, they probably haven't eaten since before they woke up.
Not really. I mean, traveling as you guys do, you travel light and maybe nibble on a ration or two while you're moving.
Mm. That's why it's been a while since they've had a proper meal, so he's gonna take up on the offer.
All right. So you maneuver your way through and head over to where she had pointed when initially meeting her. Coincidentally, you saw Nira make his way over there before. Just saw as he kind of opened the door, looked a bit upset, and then made his way over and sat down against one of the walls and just started sharpening his weapons. And make your way over and push it open, and the kind of warm smell of some sort of thick stew just kind of comes out and greets you. And it's a warm feeling. Definitely beats whatever cold is outside.
This is certainly a nice change of pace. Voss kind of mutters that to himself, but does gaze around to see if there was anyone else in here.
Yeah, there are a couple other people. Maybe about half a dozen or so. Again, all women.
Hmm.
Most of them are dressed in what look to be tunical garbs of some sort of cleric or paladin. The ornate colors of light blue and white that just innately surround them are somewhat just eye-catching, but you being the kind of person you are, just kind of peel your eyes off of it and go get the food that you need. They don't charge you, but it's what they do serve is a very thick, hearty meat stew. It's definitely something that sticks to the bones very well, and it makes you feel warm after eating. Just sit down and enjoy yourself, letting the temperature just ruminate about as you start feeling yourself thawing from the cold. Eventually, you start seeing as the fey creature comes in from behind and opens the door, and some of the clerics look over at it. And some of them make a small sign with their hand and then look back and continue eating. And the creature just kind of nods and goes over and gets itself something to eat and sits beside you. Well, they're lively humans, aren't they?
Well, at least they're not pointing blades at us. We are, well, I guess say we are quite the odd bunch of misfits around. You got two dragonborns, a build crazy. I'm trying to remember if Zorm's a half. No, Zorm's a dragonborn. Clyde is a half elf, I think.
Yes.
So we have two half elves and two dragonborns, and then I think you're just an elf,
High elf.
high elf. So yeah, and then a weird fey creature.
Yeah. I guess most people, at least in this time, usually try to question us of how we usually come together. We'll say this is a better change of pace than most.
Well, at this point, I might as well just prefer that they point blades at us. At least that'll have more conversation than this. I might be a loner, but I'm still looking for conversation. Besides, being alone is, well, rather lonely. Being alone with someone, well, that's a different story altogether.
Well, you aren't wrong there. Hmm. You s- you said you came from this forest. I'm just, if you don't mind me asking, how come you're not like the others? Just wanted to try to get to know you a bit more.
Kind of tilts his head as he looks at you and squints his eyes slightly. If I might ask, what is that supposed to mean?
Well,
The others are
you,
like who?
well, the other creatures that just attacked us without question, you seemed different when we saw you outside that town. You didn't go in and attack, but rather you stood there, watched, observed even. But my guess, you had some idea in mind, or, well, s- at least. He kind of like tries to ponder the next words. You seemed more willing to conversate than, well, willing to fight us initially. I just wondered why.
Well, you see, normally when a creature such as myself finds ourselves to be out and about amongst the human population, we find ourselves a bit more construed. We find ourselves drawn into a more lackadaisical feeling. I find you creatures interesting. Elves, humans, the like. Though I've seen more elves in my time from the forest, though they're more connected to the mothers. I
Uh,
myself are connected. Well, everything in the Feywild is connected. Everything from the trees to the leaves. Even the fairies and the wolves. So if I might ask you, what do you think of me trying to just, well, find myself indulged in my own temptations?
I say it's a rather good fit for you. He kind of takes a moment, takes out just a plain book. He's not taking out the tome. We're all writers of our own stories in this party. But, well, I guess
Writers of your own story, yes. And then you have one who proclaims that tieflings are the same as devils. So,
well, I can only assume that That's a page in a chapter that we don't know about them yet.
That
All
note
right.
you see as Rowan comes in beside as you continue speaking, and he sits down beside you, still gnawing on his bread. I heard my name. Well,
My
indeed you
ears
did.
were burning.
Indeed you did. Indeed you did. We were simply talking about your discussion on your views. And what of them? What's wrong with my views? Oh,
Mm,
nothing. Nothing at all. You believe devils are devils, and now we shall leave it. He nods. Thank you. At least one person recognizes that. Well, by your own meaning, I shouldn't even be a person. I'm not of this material plane. I'm from somewhere else.
you're from the Feywilds, right?
Somewhere in between, actually. I'm more of from here and there. Being born in the Amber Forest is normally something that happens when, well, you know the birds and the bees. When something has come together with that, you find that a creature born within the realm of the Feywild and the material plane creates, well, me.
True. True. Then again, I don't know too much about the wild myself, or, well, this force for that matter.
Well, there is much I don't know about the forest either. But I will answer one question that you possibly have that I know you're begging to ask. Those creatures, no, I do not know any of them personally. They are not my brothers, they are not my kin. They are no longer my kin, at least. They are corrupted and lost. They're just things now. Nothing to hold them to this world except their endless torment of being the thralls that they are now. To a liar and a cheat.
Hmm. You know, there's always something that's been on my mind, and it actually coincides to what you say.
Hmm.
What if there is no doubt something that's plaguing the earth here, and, as you say, enthralling those who, well, are under its corrupted spell? My question is, if we somehow manage to sever that source that's causing this, you think
There
there's a
is no way to do that. To do that would mean to destroy the Amber Forest itself. And you hazarding the thought, I would say it offends me, but you had not known.
there's always a chance to try to do something good, but, well,
Even the best of intentions sometimes fall short of being good.
you got me there. Mm.
Well, let's just hope that as we've been... I don't entirely enjoy the stew, but then again, my tastes are not that of you humans. Sorry, elf and human. And you just see as Rowan glares over. Fair, fine. You know what? Fine.
I was gonna say something incredibly mean.
At least,
You see as Zoram walks his way in, making and enjoying the heat as it slowly comes out and bristles with him as the smell of stew that immediately fills the air.
at least, at least it's warm food.
He nods. At least.
Mm.
Normally can't ask for more. But once we get to the forest, I know what I'm eating.
Draws my curiosity, but at the same time, not something to ask right now.
Another time then. Zoram, you go over, grab yourself a bowl of stew, and come and sit down with everybody else as you currently see as Rowan is still gnawing at what is now a somewhat cold piece of bread.
Ron, do you only ever eat bread?
He looks at you for a moment, pulls out a small piece of dried meat from his ration and nibbles on it, and then eats the bread. There, you've seen me eat something
It's
else
just,
than bread.
it's just I've seen you eating bread pretty much 90% of the time I've seen you.
Usually that leads to a deficiency, but we don't talk about that.
As long as I
Yeah,
have my bread, I'm fine.
we're gonna run out of bread.
Look,
Anyways,
you tried to steal it from me.
no,
I have
I
no
didn't
other words
steal
from
it.
that. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking in general. Tried to take it from me. Vague creature looks over. By what means do you say they took it from you?
He was.
They. He puts his finger up to his arm. He's like, "Don't you dare! This is my story." Well, they decided to hold me down, gag me. Then, not only that, then they decided to shackle me. And then after that, they stole my rightful possessions that I purchased with good gold.
You tried to attack one of us
Because you stole it from me.
after we had shackled you after you tried to attack Clyde.
Because Clyde managed to steal my bread. Bread or not,
Look,
gold,
buddy,
silver,
I think
sword, or
that's your
anything.
problem.
Clyde just kind of appears behind him.
I heard you were talking shit.
Yeah, and Rowan just looks over his shoulder at you and... you know what? Screw you. This is my bread.
We'll let you
Ro-
keep your bread. Just try
Rowan,
not to eat
Rowan,
5
you
loaves in one sitting.
Rowan, you
As many as
have
I
a
can, please.
problem.
The only problem I have is that I can't eat more.
I wonder
Don't
if
eat 5 loaves in one sitting. You're going to kill yourself.
I
And
wonder if there's
even the fake creature looks over. Like, yes, if a man eats like that and he does not give himself room for at least something else but time, he's going to die. Rowan looks over. When? And he just starts eating the bread again.
I wonder if there's
Oh
a
my
potion
gosh.
recipe for therapy. You just hear
I
both
wish.
mutter under.
Grape, is this commotion hearable from outside?
It's starting to get loud. I mean, the door's still like it opens and closes, so you're starting to hear as the raising conversation starts building up. Yeah.
Just for a moment, Naren will look up at the door to the cafeteria. Just hear Rowan wax on about his bread. I'll be like, you know what? Maybe I should have just fucking killed him. He just continues sharpening his sword.
Oh, sharpen his sword with malicious intent.
Just is like, I should have killed that motherfucker. And he just starts sharpening the sword with a bit more force to it. And you see his sparks start flying off of the blade.
Is there anyone else outside or like passing by?
You know what?
There
I
are
think
always a couple of clerics that are always kind of passing by. I mean,
Naren's
the
just
monastery is never just silent.
Yeah.
Apologies, continue.
Yeah, Naren's just gonna like try and gleam if anyone's looking at listening for the commotion in the cafeteria.
Some of them are.
As soon as he notices that, just a slight head shake while he continues sharpening his weapons.
You know what? I think I'm gonna go outside and work on more potions. May as well get to use those herbs before they spoil. No doubt.
But as this is going on, near him and you're sharpening your weapon, the conversation continues in the mess hall. You actually hear the sound of clanking armor and you look over and see the ginormous woman who took the gate, the nearly 7.5 foot tall, clad in full plate armor. She kind of looks down at you, not armed, but the helmet still covering her face.
Pathetic.
You know, why do you wait out here in the cold? I'm used to it.
Eh, let them have their bickering, let them have their food. I'll take care of myself somehow.
Would
They're your friends, aren't they?
Companions, yes, but friends? I don't know.
Well, companions or not, they are still someone you spent time with. Instead of staying out here in the cold and letting it freeze your heart, why don't you take a step inside?
Maybe I should.
She gives a nod and returns back to her post.
After that, he'll finish up his weaponry, make sure
Yep.
that everything's secured properly, and I guess go inside the cafeteria, take a seat near one of the tables, preferably next to Zoram or Valis. And
You go over.
most preferably not next to freaking Rowan.
You don't sit next to Rowan, you kind of sit across from him. You don't have to look at him, you're currently looking at Clyde. And you're all just sitting there.
Well,
Eventually, as the conversation continues and you guys continue making small jabs at one another, the conversation and uproar as Roran brings out the idea of his offense that you guys have restrained him before. And even though it was on good order that you did not unrestrain him until it was well past the time where he was needed. But eventually, you guys do hear a weird sound, and you look over and see that the other clerics are standing up, almost like rising to attention, and look over towards the door, and you see the familiar kind of three figures. The head one, the one at the front of this kind of small triangle that they form, now helmetless. Relatively tallish woman, just about 6 foot, so shorter than Niram. She walks over with the small clattering. She filed in behind with the two promenade, or at least the guards that she has. She walks over to you, and you actually start seeing that the face she has definitely shows the signs of wear and tear and age. The woman looks to be maybe about somewhere between 40 and 50s, so late 40s, early 50s. The strands of old platinum blonde that go down her nape of the neck and then come over the shoulder look to have strings of silver that immediately come through and protrude themselves vibrantly that collide with the armor. So, I have come back because you have requested the presence of one of my clerics. And I believe it is the Broken Ridge that you speak of. Yes.
Yes.
Well, we have managed to get in contact with his patrol. He is on his way back. He shall speak with you in a few hours. Apologies for keeping you waiting for so long, but, well, waiting is what most of us have to do.
We thank you for your consideration.
She gives you a nod and looks at the rest of you. You don't look to be sell swords, and you don't look to be from Falkenbergs. Who are you?
We are from Port Ivy. We've come at the request of Lord Brokenridge.
Well, more
Or-
like Lady Brokenridge.
Or lady, my bad.
He nods. I have already gotten your names. And I'm pleased to meet you. But most of what has happened, it confuses me. You are here to get into the forest, which normally does not allow people to leave once they enter. Normally. And yet you come here. A strange set of coincidences, but I am not one to judge.
Can you explain what you mean by strange set of coincidences.
Well, you have arrived on the dawn of another vision from one of our more esteemed clerics. And she makes a small notion to the woman standing at her left, a very short woman, roughly about 5'3", dressed in what looks to be a heavy hauberk of padded leather and chainmail. And she looks over and kind of gives you a nice bow. It's kind of a half bow, so it's just more of a nod of the head.
Zorm kind of returns it.
And in this little premonition that happened, there was something about the forest, and it seems to have come true, and yet here you are. Just on the verge of this discovery.
I can't really say I know anything about what could have happened. We've only just arrived maybe a few days ago.
Not even.
Well, I will not hold my suspicion to you like an executioner with the blade. But I will say to be cautious. The premonition was not of good intent.
Does it have some? Did it have something to do with those corrupted creatures?
It has to do with many a creature, and not just those from outside the forest.
Zorm nods.
So I offer you my well wishes. Find yourselves to be safe in these trying times. And may the cold mistress guide you. With that, she smartly turns about and walks away. The entourage following behind her.
Oh, I was disconnected from the server.
So, as this happens, you guys do wait for another handful of hours, just about 3. And eventually, the door does open again, and this time it's a bit more distinct. As you keep on looking by, and you keep on seeing more clerics come and go as the hours pass by, until eventually the door opens and you see, for the first time, at least, that you've noticed a man dressed in the same armor as the female, some very stout silver-plated iron. It looks to be a normal man until you get to the top of his head and see what look to be 2 rather rumpled and folded over rabbit ears that just seem to protrude out from the top of his head.
Looks like he's here.
Indeed.
Just to give him a moment. And Zorm's kind of just gonna look over at him and just see if he's going to approach them.
He actually does, and he does so quickly. He walks over to you guys exceptionally quickly. Metal boots clattering on the ground. He reaches you his helmet under one arm and the large mace that is currently attached to his hip. He puts his hand just on his belt to hold it there. You bring word from my sister.
Indeed, we do.
Yes.
Which one?
The one in Port Ivy, who has married a Lord Brokenridge.
Fair enough. All right. Out with it. What of it? Good news or bad?
Very bad.
What happened to her?
It's more
Her-
so her husband that is the issue, and she sent for us to see if you could aid in his illness, saying
Uh,
you could potentially make a medicine that could help.
The face of concern that kind of washes over him as he looks at all of you. The concern kind of gives way to a hint of suspicion as his eyes just kind of flick over all of you. Not entirely sure what's to be meant here.
She
I
mentioned
have no tact with medicine.
she mentioned you in relation to an herb that could help him, located in the Amber Forest.
Shakes his head for a moment. No, I have no idea. Sorry. I guess you've come all this way for nothing.
Is there other? You mentioned.
Rowan looks at him,
yours-
pulls the bread away from his face. That's bullshit and you know it. Why don't you tell us the truth? See as it catches him off guard. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're lying to us. Why don't you tell us the truth? Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay, well, this 18.
18. Definitely one of the easier people to read. The stoic face that they have is definitely difficult to break through with trying to read. But the moment you start like looking and taking over the entirety of his body, and you look at the ears that are somewhat like starting to curl and twitch lightly, you can definitely tell this guy's probably lying.
You know, Roman has a point. You just see, like, well, it's kind of just looking up at the, well, ears, as you mentioned.
I don't like the idea that you insinuate that I'm a liar.
I don't think we're saying that you're lying, more that you're being a little too cautious of us.
Rowan speaks up. Now, let's not be too gentle, shall we? I think you're lying, and I think you're doing so to protect something. So, why don't you say it perhaps here, and why not tell the others to leave? And we'll just listen to you, so whatever it is in there doesn't have to spread out too hard. Just something simple. I have only just met you. I do not like the idea you call me a liar. Well, you haven't said I'm wrong yet. Yeah, hmm. As that happens, it's more of a looks over to the other clerics who are currently looking over, some of them not exactly intently listening to the conversation, and some of them are a lot less courteous and they're just openly looking over and listening. Looks over and would you mind? We need some privacy. See as the clerics kind of look at each other and look back at him. And some of them shrug and head out. One or two decide to stay by, finish what they were eating, and then leave. And soon enough, you guys are all together, left in this large mess hall with him and yourselves.
We wouldn't be pushing this so heavily if it wasn't important.
No doubt this shows some importance.
Time is of the essence.
Indeed.
If it were my sister, it might be something different. A husband I do not care for.
She
And-
cares for him, which then inherently affects her, which will affect you.
See as his face is just, he's trying to find some reason to disagree with you, and this eventually just kind of bites his tongue.
Neramul,
Fine.
Narum will just, to Zoram in a low voice, just say, "You know what? If he doesn't care, that's fine. Maybe we should just return and bear the bad news."
Yeah. It's not going to be pleasant.
It's not pleasant, but that's how they
Rowan
will
actually
it.
goes over to help Niram out with this. And Niram, go ahead and make me a persuasion check at advantage.
Let's see how this goes. Wow, that is trash. That is a 6.
With
6.
advantage?
With advantage. The other roll was a 4.
Go ahead and add a d8 to that.
Alright.
Because you inspiration.
That's a +3, so at least we're up to a 9 now. I don't know
Looks
why you
over it.
chose Nerum to do that.
It's because you were talking to him and you were making the best argument. But as he looks, I don't care very much for her husband, all right? There's just something off about him. And I don't care much for it. I would
That's
soon rather
exactly
him
why
be
we
rid
need
of
this
her
medicine.
be rid of him.
But that's exactly why we need this medicine.
You know what? He wants him dead. Let him die.
I
Let the blood be on your hands then.
did not say that I wanted him dead.
Well, that's gonna
You are
happen if you
putting
don't
words
help
to my
us.
mouth.
I'm sorry,
Say
but
that. Let us
ignorance.
say
Alright.
that. Sorry, man. The most we can really say right now is, if you don't help us, it is the same as condemning a man, your sister's husband, no less, to nothing but cruel and slow death. Is that really what you wish to happen?
Deep in my heart, part of me wishes to say yes. But the
There you have
majority
it.
of it says I do not want to break my sister's heart. So I believe family comes first, doesn't it? Always coming through on the ringer. Yes, there is something I can do to help. Yes, I know of an herb and a medicine, though I cannot create it or procure it myself. There is another in the forest. A creature, half elf, half deer. Beautiful creature.
Would I know what that kind of creature is in my studies?
Make me a nature check at disadvantage.
At disadvantage. Ooh boy,
Yeah.
this is something real,
Can I
real
assist?
sneaky. This
No,
is-
because you would have no idea about this, even less than he does, frankly.
Or
So that's that number. Um, nature. Nature is intelligence, right?
Yes.
So that is a 19.
19.
That +8 really came in clutch.
You're not sure why, but it's not even something you think you know. But the first thing that comes to mind is centaur. And you're not sure where that name or term comes from. You have no idea what it means. And the only thing that flashes to your mind with it is the picture of a horse with where the head should be, with the body of a man.
He's gonna nod slowly, but he has like this look of like he has an idea of what he's saying.
Now, the rest of
He's-
you are completely in the dark on this. You've never heard about a creature like that.
It is what you're referring to something called a centaur?
Not entirely. No, she's different. She's deer instead of, or at least from what I can tell. Her body is that of a deer.
so a deer.
Yes.
Interesting.
She... a cleric like ourselves in the forest. She's not the smartest, no, but she's very wise. She knows very much about medicine, magics, and other such things. And she's not old, either. But most of what she makes up for, she knows in experience. She can help you. Us, my sister. Though I'm not entirely allowed to know something from the forest like that. The relationship that I have, it's more forbidden.
I see.
I
Well,
I
then.
can understand why then you're keeping quiet about this.
Well, you don't need to trouble yourselves with entering the forest. We just need a direction to go to, and, well, your word, and we can go and
Maybe a
head it.
name.
Mm. You see him stop for a moment, and he just kind of waits for... Looks like he's trying to determine whether or not or if he wants to say it.
Even just something that would allow her to know that we are not wanting to hurt her and just talk to her.
He looks at you and... I'll try and think of something. Most of our encounters are brief. I sometimes see her in passing. I've only spoken but a few words to her.
She happened to speak in the tongue of the Fae. He's referring to Sylvan, of course.
Mm. You kind of broke up for me a little bit there, what?
He was asking if she speaks in the word of the Fae. In Sylvan is what he's referring to.
Kind of shrugs and I don't know. I don't speak that tongue myself. I believe when she spoke to me in a common tongue, she told me her name was Daisy,
Daisy.
or at least the most likewise flower to it, from what I could tell.
We see.
Mm.
Do you know what direction we should go in to most commonly find her?
There's only one way. It is a pathway I managed to find myself after breaking the curfew and discovering it. It's a small passage through the trees. It allows an easier parting through the barrier, or at least from what I can tell.
I see. We thank you for opening up on this.
Do not do it for you. Do it for my sister.
Either way, you've made us being able to help her much easier.
He nods. I can show you the entrance, if you wish. But it would have to be late. It only opens during the night.
All right. What's the consensus for everyone else?
I agree. Gives me time to make some things to prepare for us. Our, well, endeavor into the spores. Granted, we don't have any silver-lined weapons to defend ourselves in case those tainted ones decide to attack.
Eh, even a hardy tree can be felled.
It'll be
Right,
fine. We'll be fine.
On
We
the
already
nature of
dealt
the
with them
corrupted,
before.
on the corrupted Fae, there is There is a bit of a hazard. They sleep around the entrance at night. But do not construe it as a normal sleep. The slightest noise, the gentlest of touch, or even the idea of waking them brings them back to life. There is something about the gate that lulls them into some sort of hibernation. So you must be silent.
As noted.
So we'll have to be very careful on how we approach it then. I think we'll be relying on you mostly to be able to show us how to get in without waking them.
Rowan kind of puts his hand up here. Well, not sure about you guys, but I believe we have magic for that.
Indeed.
Well, my magic is very limited.
Well, I'm not you, am I?
Yeah. I make items. I don't cast really spells as much.
Yeah, that's more of
You
a.
should see as he starts thinking for a moment. I'm sorry, that actually came out really harsh. I don't have the same spell ramifications as you do. I'm not stuck to a certain limit to them. So if we waited for a little while, I could, well, bring ourselves to be a bit more silent.
Yeah, that might work.
Actually sees the fey creature looks over. I've been thinking upon what you've been saying. This opening in the trees. There are stones around it, yes? Yes, there are a couple of moss-covered stones and a simple stone pillar. Why? Oh, nothing. Just simply the idea of going through a corrupted doorway. Nothing's the matter.
I'm sorry, what?
And you even see as the Broken Ridge is gonna... What do you mean, corrupted doorway? He looks over in your tour guide. The entryway is an old one, created by one of the first Fae to decide to walk the lands of the material and then walk their way back in. And believe it or not, once they decided to go against the teachings and the other things of the mothers of the forest, the entryway itself became corrupted. So tell me, how do you feel? And you actually kind of feel the barbs that come out of the question. And he looks over it. I feel fine, thank you.
What do you mean? And like, excuse me for being very unaware of the effects of the Feywild, but
He
what
looks
is?
over it. The Feywild is a very convoluted and interesting place. However, the realm between it is probably the most difficult. Getting through that doorway is not essentially coming through the Feywild on your own volition. You are doing so because another creature's power is allowing you through.
I see.
He is silent for a long moment.
So I guess we'll all have to prepare and get ready for tonight.
Indeed.
Where should we meet you to do this? Any
Meet me by the
particular
gate.
spot? Okay.
With that broken ridge, at least he turns about and starts walking. My name is Prius.
Thank you. Thank you, Price.
He nods and starts walking off, and he leaves the mess hall. And eventually the other clerics start making their way back in as well.
So, guess get your shit together, and we'll make sure to head out by tonight. Is that understood?
Rowan gives a nod.
Naram gives a nod as well, and as soon as he's done and feels like the conversation is over, he will go and take off to rest somewhere.
It's not too difficult. You make your way over, asking a couple of questions to some of the clerics. You get led over to the dormitories, and they do have a couple of guest quarters in case they were ever needed. Nothing your size, but your feet stick off the back end of the bed, but it's a bed.
More than good enough. He'll take his rest.
Zor is actually going to, when he goes to a room to kind of rest, he's actually going to just take some time and just meditate on with the Leviathan bone in his lap. He's just gonna sit kind of cross his legs and sit there. Kind of
As
just
the hours
wait for
go
the time
by, just waiting. Okay. The hours slowly tick by, minute by minute, crawling. As you hold the Leviathan bone, you get this weird feeling that something's watching you. Kind of like look around inside the room you're in. Nobody's watching you. And you look down for a brief second and you think you see an eye coming out of the bone, and you blink and it's gone.
Who were you?
No response.
Well, I may as well use this time to create as many potions for us. Granted that.
Go ahead and make me an Arcana check, and then make me make me a medicine check.
Okay, so for me, right?
Yes.
I got
For the other guy making potions.
I got net 20 on Arcana, so I got 28, and then I got a 17 on medicine.
All right, so your ingredients are still fresh. You don't need to worry about those. And the brewing of the potions, with the time constraint that you have, with the few hours that you are able to scrape by, you're able to make one minor healing potion.
Alright. Can always come in handy.
Anybody else want to do anything?
So as my herbs aren't spoiled, that's probably for the better.
Leave. One second. Let me get you the minor healing. Yeah, the minor healing potion is 1d4 plus 1.
All right.
It is small. It is quite literally just used to get somebody up from the brink of death.
Which is inherently useful.
Yes, it is. So, with this, and the hours crawl by, and slowly the moon starts rising into the sky. And guys, gather your things and start making your way out. As you walk across the snowy field that encompasses the grounds of the main fort, you make your way over to the gate and you see the familiar outline of the giant woman. Currently, just her back laid against the doors. Her hands are currently strewn about, one in her lap, and the second one over the giant hammer, currently pretty much used as the gate bar. And you see off to the side, there looks to be Brokenridge wrapped up in what looks to be a very thick and white, almost rogue-like traveling cloak. He looks over at you. Well, we better start going now, because we won't have time to make it.
Agreed.
Starts making his way towards the gate and says something in a language that some of you might know. But eventually, see as the giant woman just kind of looks over at him as the head slowly looks over like she was pretending to be unconscious. And uses the one hand and pulls the hammer out of the way of the gate. And it opens up for you guys.
Let's hope this goes well. Though that depends on our quietness.
How quickly we can travel. Come along, we don't have much time to waste. And he starts, at a moderate jog, just starts making his way across the snowy plain.
I guess Zorn is gonna try and keep up with him.
Same.
Yes.
All right, I will have all of you go ahead, just make me a relatively easy athletics check.
Wow, great. And the one thing that I'm actually decent at already, I get a good roll. That's a 26.
My
You
PC is giving me a difficult time at the moment. Hold on.
then use your dice.
I got
Well,
14.
no, I'm trying to get my sheet up so I can roll.
Oh, okay.
My PC is giving me a hard time.
Right.
17.
Thank you. Yeah, Niram, you have a hard time keeping pace with everybody because as they're at the jog they're going, since you're so large, you try and speed ahead to catch up, and then when you do, you find yourself going too far ahead and you have to slow down. You're pretty much rubber banding it. And it's exhausting to watch you do this jog. It's like trying to watch an athlete do a marathon. It's exhausting. But you take it in stride. Because barbarian muscle.
Mm-hmm. I'm half surprised I
Right.
didn't have to roll constant constitution checks against the cold.
Hee barb strength, go burr.
You guys are prepared for the cold. You guys already have the cold weather gear.
Yeah.
You bought the cloaks, so you're good. So
Is Rowan refusing to wear his, or is he actually wearing his?
he has it, but it's tucked on the farthest end of his bag away from him, and he's just wearing a normal cloak.
Oh my goodness.
So he is cold. Yes, he's very cold, but he's just running. And he's staying
Man's-
warm out of pure spite.
Man's gonna get frostbite.
Well, at least we have someone who can amputate quickly.
Yeah, you do. So,
I'm not getting into that.
making your way
Stuff needs to load faster.
one sec. Let me pull up your character sheet for you.
It's almost up, I promise.
You have a. Oh wait, no, that's wrong person. Come on, where are you? God, there's so
And
many
what
good
was
night
was
messages.
it
God
athletics?
damn.
It is
Yes,
never enough.
athletics.
It is never enough.
You have a +0, I think.
A
Wait, no.
+0 in athletics?
No, wait.
I have a +2 in athletics.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong sheet. Apologies. Sorry.
16 plus 2, 18.
You managed to keep pace with everybody.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Only person that's lagging behind is Rowan. You guys look by and it's like he's freezing his ass off. Like he's running by and he's turning into a popsicle with every step.
Do we?
You know what? Clyde's just gonna look behind, like as he's jogging, kind of like I don't even know how to explain it. He's like leaning backwards, almost like trying to look at Rowan, being like this. Like this is why you shouldn't eat so much bread.
Okay.
With the shit-eating grin that you have as you say this, you see as Rowan just it makes him that much more furious, and he just starts running. He's trying to catch up with you guys,
He sounds
There
like
you go.
full sprint.
and he runs and catches up with you guys. And out of pure spite, he runs ahead of you, Clyde.
Good. I'll smack him on the ass
Mhm.
as he passes me. I don't.
You smack his ass as he
You
passes
barked
by
me.
with a satisfying. And it rings across the
Mush.
plains.
Mush.
Like the homies do.
Yeah. Anyway, so
He's
as you
quite
guys
straight.
continue your run across the plain, the moon gets higher and higher, and eventually it starts becoming just about 12 o'clock. And as the moon gets to the highest point and it reaches the crest, you guys are somewhat panting. Niram, you're the best there. You're just standing there with somewhat of a kind of heavy breath. The rest of them are, oh, fuck. But you're just standing there, just, that was a nice jog.
Just looks back at the others, goes, "Anyone need a lift?"
Rowan puts
Clyde
his hand up.
looks to Rowan.
Except
Rowan puts his
Rowan.
hand up. Rowan puts his hand down.
I think Rowan needs some heat.
You know what, Rowan, actually, as you ask that, you actually look over and you see there's something new to your part. You look over, and where Rowan was standing, there is now what looks to be a vibrant-looking human with mahogany dark skin who puts their head up. I could use a carry. I'm simply worn out by the run.
Clyde does double take being like, wait, where's Rowan?
Nerem looks at him, just goes, "Again, I will repeat my question. Anyone except Rowan want a lift?"
You can see as Rowan just sighs, and the facade fades as the magic is just spelled.
Oh, thanks.
No? Okay. Also, Rowan, tell me once you lose feeling in your right leg.
What?
I'm sorry. Just the distance. What?
As that happens, Brokrange looks at you. Remember, we need to be quiet.
Yeah, with one leg he'll make less noise.
I think that's.
And he is Rowan is about to he's about to say something very loudly, and Broker just looks over and I said quietly. Rowan, bites his tongue.
We need to be careful because I don't think we can actually take a lot of those guys on.
Just over the crest of this hill. They should be, or at least the entrance should be here.
Mind if I just take a quick peek over?
Sure, make me a stealth check.
Come on, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
Also 1.
It's a dirty 20.
You need to stop using weighted dice.
I'm using the same dice I've been using ever since
I'm
I ever
always gonna
joined
give
this
you. I'm
campaign.
always gonna give you shit. I'm always gonna give you shit for it.
You can't tell me to not use weighted dice if they're the only dice I have.
Pathetic. All right. So, as you get yourself over, you kind of crouch down, keeping your figure as small as possible in case anything we're trying to keep an eye out. And as your feet slowly crunch through the snow, you peer over the top of a gentle hill that just seems to have appeared on the edge of the amber forest. And looking down into it, you see what looks to be a small cauldron of what, almost like a basin at the back end of a hill that leads into the amber forest. And as you look into it, you see there are strands of trees, the same black and corrupted, hollowed twigs that they once were. The endless stretching that protrudes around them almost looks like some sort of eldritch horror of a spider web that has decided to creep out, with the legs of a spider forming many more small tendrils alongside it. The sound of the wind blowing through it is like that of a eerie howl. Until you look into it, go ahead and make me a perception check. See what you can see.
Can we all make a perception check?
He's the only one who went up. He was doing it stealthy. If you want to make me a stealth check and make your way up, you can.
I would love to make a
So
stealth
that
check.
is a
Okay.
16.
What I roll for stealth again?
It's
Dex.
dexterity, and
Right.
if you're proficient in it, plus your proficiency.
I don't think I'm proficient in it. However, I got a 17.
17. You creep your way up behind Zorn. In doing so, it's rather interesting. As you're following his tracks, trying to stay as silent as possible as the snow is still crunching beneath your feet. Get up beside Zoram as he's currently looking through, and the air is blowing his cloak, and it makes it kind of flap almost poetically.
Mhm.
You look over and try and drop a look at what he's looking at. If you want, you can make me a perception check. But Zoram, as you're looking over, you see in and amongst the trees that are actually somewhat dense here leading into the forest. It's almost like a design like a head of broccoli. It sprouts out in the cauldron and then gets thin as it gets closer towards the trees of the amber forest. And just before it makes it, you see as it tapers off and the blackened trees just stop. Looking at where it stops, you see a single stone column covered in moss and bits and pieces of snow. At least the only snow you can see is on the side facing you. The rest of it looks to be warm and touched with what looks to be a very light shade of green moss that you could only know grows in a very warm climate.
So Zorm is actually going to slightly gesture towards it, as like to help Clyde get an idea of where he's looking.
Okay.
And where he's kind of seeing things.
All right. Clyde, what'd you get?
I got a nat 1.
You point out, and Clyde's like, dude, I can see my breath.
Looks like
Can I
Clyde is
try again?
Clyde is enjoying himself immensely in the cold.
I either get a really good roll or a nat 1. It's never any other way.
There's no
It's
in
always a
between.
nat 1 when it comes to perception.
Yes.
So, as that happens, Zoram, you look over at Clyde with this kind of dumbfounded expression of, what? And you see Clyde pulls out what looks to be a small roll of paper and kind of rolls it up kind of like a cigarette, kind of puffs on it. Hey, look at this. And blows out a cloud of smoke. Or at least,
Steam.
the steam that comes out. And you kind of bring your hand up and pinch the bridge of your snout. And look back into the forest. Within the forest, no, there is no movement at all except from the trees that wave ever so gently. And looking at it, you don't see anything, but you hear clicking. Sounds like a
Oh God.
Zorm, as soon as like when he's hearing, like kind of still, I'm assuming still hearing Clyde kind of pretending to smoke. He's going to turn over to him, and kind of do the universal shush gesture of like putting his finger to his mouth in a gesture to shut the hell up.
Clyde, you look over at him. How do you respond?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that real quick? For whatever reasons, you
He
were
does the
highly
universal
muffled.
he does the universal sign of shut up.
Zoram heard something, looks at you and says, shut the fuck up! In the universal sign of a finger to the lips.
Clyde nods, being like, nothing else, just, like a nod of acknowledgement, being like, all right, buddy, I got you. Conveyed by the nod.
He's and after this, he's gonna try and carefully get back down to rejoin the group.
It's not too hard. And you start slowly making your way back down. You meet back with the group who is just kind of waiting there.
Yeah, there's definitely some noise out that way. I saw it, and it's definitely something, but I'm kind of hearing some clicking noises. I'm not sure if it's the creatures being nearby.
Reeves nods. That is the creatures. When they find themselves hibernating, they click. The louder they click, the closer they are.
Okay, so it's a good thing that I kind of came back, but yeah, I've been hearing them. Looks
Sounds like a woodpecker, doesn't it?
almost. If I wasn't being careful for listening for it, I probably would have thought it was.
That is what I thought too. I did not come to this place my first time without getting a few well-earned scars. But I believe there isn't much time to lose. And looks over, and Rowan kind of cracks his knuckles and, all right, let's see if we can't get some magic. And brings his hands about, and he hums a small tune. And as he brings his hands apart and then back together, he claps them and no sound comes out.
Slightly gave the rest of us a heart attack.
Rowan makes a small motion to his bagpipe. And shrugs. Rowan points to all of you and points to himself. And then he puts 2 fingers up and puts them close together, and then starts walking towards the hill.
Phallus is going to follow along.
And Naram's gonna stick close to Rowan as well and follow.
Zorm is trying to be quiet and follow and just try and make his way over. He's
Like
gonna
you
look
all
over
to
to
make
see
me-
if their friend is gonna be following them, or if he's gonna he's just seeing them off.
He's just seeing you off.
Okay.
He's actually not coming with you.
Okay. Zorm
Remember,
just
he's not
gives-
even supposed to be here.
Zorm, as he's leaving, kind of just gives him a slight hand up in like a thanks, and just nods his head.
He returns the nod, and then turns about and starts jogging his way back to the fort. I would like you all to go ahead and make me a stealth check at advantage.
Bet.
Yee.
17.
Good.
19.
Natural 20 for a 21.
Nice.
I thought you were the unsneaky one.
Hey, I'm not wearing armor or anything. Might be big,
I
but
know,
that,
but
that doesn't mean
still,
that I can
you-
I can't be silent. Actually,
You-
22.
You used to,
Sorry.
You used to be the loud one.
I used to be, yes. I just got lucky.
Okay, what's that number?
Luck is in no small part to something that helps a lot. Anyway.
What is my sneak? Like I just rolled for it and I immediately forgot what my stealth is. 22.
So, with a great amount of luck, you guys actually managed to get yourselves very, very far into the thicket that protrudes out from this, or from the Ember Forest. In doing so, the sound of the trees around you as they slowly start whistling and rustling. You start looking over and trying to find out just where these creatures are as you continuously hear this clicking noise, almost like a soft woodpecker checking into a tree. It just clicks incessantly. As you continue stepping through, you try and find yourselves something to at least gather references to what you're trying to hide from. And just as one of you just kind of lean against a tree, trying to get it out, or trying to stay out of its way as it abruptly enters your path, you put your hand on it, and just as you pass by it, you stop. And you turn your eye to the side, and you see standing there, just wide-eyed staring at you, is one of those hollow creatures. Its mouth slightly agape, and the blackened tendrils of ichor that spread throughout its face and under the veins, immediately just bulbous and pulsating softly even as it slept. And you hear a soft as it breathed foully into your face.
Just keep moving, just keep moving, just keep moving.
Try and say that to yourself, but even as you hum, you feel the movement in your in your vocal cords, but no sound is coming out, and it really just starts kind of freaking you out somewhat. So, what are you guys doing
Well,
Hmm.
as you continue trying to get yourselves through here?
I guess Zorm is gonna just keep on listening for any of the clicking sounds and
Yeah.
help direct away from those clicking sounds.
Okay, go ahead and make me a perception check.
That is +5, 21.
1. Yeah, you doing your best as you keep an eye out. You flick over. And that situation happens a lot. You keep maneuvering yourself through this, and you keep on running into more and more of these creatures. They keep getting denser the closer you get to the forest. And pretty soon, just as you get to the nape, where it just almost spreads out to a small stem of a passageway, leading like a bridge from the head of the thicket into the forest, every tree has almost 3 of these corrupted fey creatures to one, strewn about the branches like bodies discarded in a raid. Some of them strewn about on the floor on the ground covered in soft bits of snow. Some of them just wrapped around a tree, and you see as their flesh has started slowly becoming that tree bark, making them hide instrumentally well. Some of them, as you get by, the sound starts slowly petering out as the clicking just becomes incessant, as the wind even just seems to go quiet in respect or fear. And as this happens, you go over and you stop. And you look down at your foot and you see you just about stepped on one of them. And you back away. There is little possibility of getting through here without waking one of them up.
Zorm's kind of like looking at the rest of the group, trying to figure out what to do.
Rowan shrugs.
How far away would we feel like we are from our objective? And does it seem to only keep getting denser as we go deeper, like even past these creatures that are here?
The creatures are getting denser. The forest isn't.
Um,
So unless you had either some sort of distraction, some sort of something to pull them out or get around them, you're not sure.
trying to think here if there's something I could do that could keep them from waking up, or like move them out of the way without making them wake up. I'm kind of curious if March reduced could do that. I'm not sure if we do a magical messing with magic at all could.
Your Discord mic just committed suicide.
It did. Damn, Zorm was speaking all like 27 languages. in a span of 3 seconds.
Jesus.
It's like all of a sudden he was talking, and then all of a sudden it went, Tomo arigato, pista robato.
Oh.
He will rejoin us.
Mhm.
But as all of you stand there,
Real.
what are you guys doing? Because you are surrounded by these creatures.
I could use. Yeah, I could use fly and just lift people over, I guess.
Good luck carrying near them.
No,
mean-
right. He needs to go to the gym more.
I guess out of character, like Valus could use twin spell fly on himself and Nerem, and they could start lifting people
Wait,
across.
hold up. Let me just look at my sheet real quick. Spells. No, yeah, I could twin spell me and Narum and then just, fly. You know what? Screw it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. We could pick up people.
Yep.
All right. I would like both of you to make me a. The carrying won't be a problem. What will be is navigating around these creatures. Even while you're flying. It'll be easier, much easier, but it'll be difficult. I'll say for this will be dex based. So make me either an acrobatics check or an acrobatics check.
So acrobatics or acrobatics? Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a choice there.
I got
Alright,
dirty 20.
let's see. Ah, fuck. That's an 8.
You know what? It's going to be difficult, but he's going to come over and give you some inspiration.
Just a pat on the back before we lift off.
Yeah, just a good luck.
Good luck out there trying to get killed.
Alright. Well, that boosts it up to 13 because I got a 5 on the d8 roll.
Your way through it. You turn about and give Rowan kind of a reassuring nod. And go over and picking up Clyde as Volus goes and picks up Zorm. You guys gently lift into the air and slowly and cautiously try and get yourselves through. As you hold Clyde, you see as Volus seems to be dancing through almost like a ballerina or a marionette, just perfectly going through with the tempo and movement and swaying of the creatures. You have a bit more trouble with this. You're not used to flying. As you sail through it, you actually see as a hand falls in front of you, and you have to duck out of the way quickly. And just before you do, you have to stop yourself, almost like hitting the brakes immediately. And you're not fast enough as you brush by one of the hands. And you hear this. And you stop. As you look down and the hope to whatever God is watching you, that they protect whatever it is this is. And as the moments go on, you hear the sound of a slowly peer yourself up and look, the creature has gone back to sleep. And you slowly start getting Clyde the rest of the way through. Eventually, you drop Clyde and you drop off Zoram at the far end, leaving them by the stone pillar. And you sail backwards, going to collect Rowan and then your Fey friend. And I'll have both of you just go ahead and make me another acrobatics check doing this.
Okay.
Oh boy. Don't fuck me.
22.
Am I here?
Hey, 22 as
Yes.
well, not 20.
We got you. We got you. All right.
What,
As
what
you
order
sail
did I
back, this
miss?
time, Niram, you manage to get yourself so afraid of doing anything wrong that you do it perfectly. And it's the first time you've managed to do that. You go over and pick up your Fey friend as Volus sails back and goes to pick up, oh, goddammit, Rowan. All right. I had a brain fart on that. My apologies. And as you guys carefully sail through the air and set yourselves off as you stand by that simple stone pillar. And you look over at your tour guide and he kind of shudders for a moment as he looks at the stone pillar and then looks in. As you look into the darkness that envelops the trees that surround you, the thick oaken timbers that grow tall, you look in and see what look to be spurs of redwood that are growing thick and taller behind the oaks, impossibly tall, even through this small window of what you can glimpse in. And as you look through it, it's radiant, beautiful. The mosses and mushrooms that glow ever so gently, vibrant purples and reds, blues and yellows, and a hint of green that just seem to come all together. You see bits and pieces of light that seem to puff off like small little dust balls flying through the air. The simplicity of their color and the vibrancy that they provide. The natural backdrop of just how colorful and amazingly strong the wood is from the trees, just it takes you off. You've never seen something like this. You could never dream of something like this. Who wants to go in first?
I'll do it if no one does.
As you step in, I need you to make me a wisdom save.
Okay. Oh, wait, that's wrong thing. Yay, 19. 17 plus 2.
As you step through it, it's almost like trying to step through a sheet of plastic or plastic wrap. Some sort of force just holds you for a moment, and eventually you feel a small break, and then you force yourself the rest of the way through. And as you step by, there's no longer the sound of wind. You hear the vibrant sound of creatures, small and large. Foxes, birds, even that of small insects chirping happily. You stare around, looking at all of the luscious green that you see about. And there is nothing here that could ever compete. Anything outside has nothing on this.
Oh my.
Who's
In
next? Volus, as you stare off in amazement. You're just lost in thought. Who wants to step through next?
I suppose Naren will. No one else will.
Go ahead and make me a wisdom save.
That's a nat one.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
As you wait and then step through the membrane, something feels wrong. You're not sure what it is, but as Volus looks around with a childish smile, you can't help but frown. It
Great.
feels like there's something wrong here.
Going through this portal has given me depression.
No, there's something else.
I know, I was just making a bad joke.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to get the description out.
Sorry.
No, by all means. It's your own character. You wanted to make a joke? Make a joke. But as you step through it and you look by, you see the vibrant colors, the beauty of it all. And it catches you off guard. But what anchors you through is just this feeling. And you just kind of like rub your hand instinctively. And you look down and see the black mark actually has what looks to be a small crack coming out of it. You're going to press into it. And when you do, a brief flicker of an image just flashes before your eyes. A man, or at least what looks to be a man, trapped in a tree, forced to his knees. The bark and moss overgrown, his flesh become one. But he smiles, almost as if at you. You can take your hand away from the crack and you look back down and the crack is gone.
Naren will immediately distance himself from any tree nearby, or try to stand as far away from every tree around him as possible.
Who's next? Well, if you're not going, I guess the Fey friend will. He steps through without issue. But as he does so, you just see as he steps through and it shudders like some wet and slimy creature just crawled up his spine. He steps into it. He shudders once again. That is not an experience I will go through again. The next time we enter this forest, we enter it my way. And with that momentary anger, he looks over and just starts seeing all of the trees and the color, and he can't help but smile, being back home. Rowan looks over at you, Clyde, and I think you can go first here. I think my asthma's acting up. I need a moment here.
Push.
You have asthma?
Push
have
him.
asthma now?
Push him. Push him. Push him. Push him.
It's a recent thing. I kind of developed it like 5 minutes ago. You guys, go on ahead. I need to deal with this.
Clyde sighs and he's like, fine, and he goes to wherever it is I need to go because I blinked out for like a solid 2 minutes.
We're standing in front of the portal to the Feywild.
Oh, yeah, okay, we're just gonna like cannonball on in.
Okay.
Make me a wisdom save. I like your enthusiasm.
Yeah, no, Clash is like, you know what, fuck it, and just like literally like as he's like jumping in, like he brings his knees up to his chest and kind of just like falls into the portal sideways.
Go for it.
Gets in that one.
Probably winds up in like the fetal position or something. And what do I have to roll? Like check
Wisdom
wise?
Save.
Wisdom? Damn it, that landed askew. If it didn't landed askew, it would have either been a 20 or a 16. Ah! I don't think this dice wants to be rolled. It landed askew again. Okay, 13. Do I have any pluses to the wisdom? No, I do not. 13.
You cannonball through it.
Hell yeah.
As you hit into it, it's almost like a trampoline, and it and the membrane stretches. And it's not even something you feel. It's like a magical aura or force that holds you. And as you trying to use the momentum, eventually you break through and land heavily on your ass and just kind of.
Hot. I don't know what else to say, but just
So you're
hot.
telling me Clyde just went through and said hot.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
just
what we
and lands and like first thing Clyde does is look up hot.
Oh, this is how you get the ladies. Stop. I'll go home.
But Clyde, as you look about, you see the beauty of the ladies and you just see vibrant colors you've never seen before. It's like you just took 7 different drugs and all of them are acting in perfect concerto.
Pretty.
The lights are so vibrant. Hundreds of songs and stories could be written just about every single one. The vibrancies of the green that shock and collide with the browns and reds of the wood. The softness of the grass and dirt beneath you. The small creatures that you can see, the chirping sounds. Just the sheer bliss of the forest. There is nothing else like it. And soon enough, Zoram, you are the only one who has not passed through the gate.
So I'm just gonna walk through.
Make me a wisdom save.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Zoram needs to make a wisdom save.
Ah.
Scrolling up to my wisdom save thing. So that's a +2, so that is a 16.
16. You step through the membrane, and for a moment, when you extend your hand out, you see something. Your hand is not your usual hand, it's a giant claw, 4 times its size.
He
Mm.
like almost immediately retracts it
And
when he
Pull your
sees
hand
that.
away and you blink and you push yourself through it. And eventually, like not even just using your hands or so, you just put your head down and crash through it. And the membrane splits before you. And you open your eyes once again. You see Clyde on the ground, sitting there, their eyes like a child dancing about, looking at all of the beautiful colors. And soon enough, you find yourself distracted as well. The vibrancy of everything you see, the decorations and colors that just announce themselves. There are no words to describe what you see or how you feel.
He just kind of takes a deep breath and just tries to make sure that everyone else is intact, and kind of looks at himself, making sure he's intact.
You look down, you're completely intact. And eventually you have your Fey friend come around. Well, I welcome you all to my home. I welcome you to the Amber Forest.
It's a lovely place.
There's none other quite like it. And that's all in tonight's session.
Next session.
So,
Who's ready to be bewitched by a wild pixie and never turn back home?
come on, you don't need
Me.
to spoil it. You don't need to spoil the story.
Come on.
Here's the thing: we stab them before they can do any real damage.
All right.
They just float up to us, go hello, and you just immediately decapitate them.
Okay,
Exactly.
Have you ever read lore on Fae?
They are fucked
Yes.
up.
They are incredibly scary.
Because they know what they can do and they really enjoy it.
Exactly. They're the same people. Like, they're the same people that are just like, yeah, you didn't read the fine print.
Oh, you know, they're the people who cut open an eyeball of yours while you're still alive, just because they wanted to see what it looks like from the inside. But it's all a game to them.
But as we go ahead and end today's game, and tonight for some of us, I go ahead and shift our focus over to the beloved Twitch. Hello, everyone! I saw earlier that we had a raid, and holy shit. Hi. I'm sorry we couldn't bring that up, but we were in the middle of something, so I do apologize about that. But hey, both hello and goodbye. We hope you enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, I mean, thanks very much to Miss B. I mean, she was phenomenal in guiding you here, but we already did the shout out there, but I'm going to shout her out again because she's a lovable person. Very personable. But for those of you who stuck around with us for the majority of our session, I do say I hope you enjoyed. If you did, perhaps you can come by again. The next stream will be just about next Saturday, same time as always, perhaps 2 to 2:30 start time, PM East, which would be 8 to 8:30 PM European Standard. If you are in California, you are looking at just about 12 o'clock PM East, or sorry, West. But other than that, if you guys have any questions at all, you can go ahead and over to Behemoth's Discord, which you can check out there. And if nothing else, we also have a small YouTube channel that if you want to come together and see just what antics have led up to this situation, I know our little recaps don't exactly cover everything, but you'll be able to see just how this party started. And I will go ahead and say, if you liked it just enough, maybe you could drop a follow, but it's not needed. And I'll say thank you so much for coming out and staying with us through the entirety of our little journey here. And we look forward to seeing you again. I'll go ahead and hand it off to Behemoth.
Thank you very much, Grape. And again, thank you for the session. And thanks to everyone
Always a
else
pleasure.
here for making it such an enjoyable experience as every week.
Always a pleasure.
But yeah. All right. Again, thanks everyone for sticking around and enjoying this time. I know that we didn't interact much with chat, I'm very sorry, but just due to the nature of how this game started and how the general conversational flow has been, I feel like it would be annoying if I constantly muted or deafened and interacted with chat while everyone else was, participating in the game that we come together for. So, apologies again if I don't interact with chat, not verbally or sometimes not even in text. That's sadly just how it is. It's kind of difficult to do so while playing D&D, and I have to really pay attention that I don't interrupt anyone just by, trying to have a modicum of interaction with chat. Again, thanks Becky for the raid. It was amazing that you showed up here. I'm very thankful for it, and I hope you and yours had fun here. And yeah, as Grape said, if you want to join in on the next session, it's probably going to be next Saturday. Hopefully, if nothing comes and ruins the fucking schedule. And yeah, if you have any questions or just want to know when the next stream is going to happen, join the Discord server. Just make sure that you read through the rules, please. Time and again, I see people join in, not read the rules on various servers that have a system like mine where you actually have to acknowledge them, and then they're wondering why do I not see any channels? That's about that. But yeah, it's a role acknowledgement system. It's mainly meant to keep out bots. Other than that, we have a YouTube playlist. It does, contain most of the streams we've done so far. We've had some issues in the past with just trying to have background music, and it turned out that it got content ID'd. It got muted on Twitch. So we've decided to not have it play on stream. But yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoyed the session, and take care, everyone.